Good evening. My name is Brian W. Smith. I'm the award-winning best-selling author of more than 40 novels. But today, I'm not in writer mode. I'm putting on my interviewer cap, and I'm going to interview some of the industry's biggest names, people whom I've had the privilege, the honor of getting to know during my 20-year writing career. I created the Readers Want to Know podcast so that you, the reader, can get a glimpse into the personality of your favorite author. I want you to see a side of them that readers normally don't get to see. So I want you to sit back and enjoy the interview. That's what I want you to do. But first, I need you to do something for me. I need you to take a moment, click the like button. I need you to click the subscribe button. I need you to do it now, right now. I'll give you a couple seconds. You did it? Good. Let's start the interview. Hello, hello, hello. It's your boy, Brian W. Smith, here again. Season 2 of the Readers Want to Know podcast, the podcast where we get all up in your favorite author's business. And today I have someone who I've had the pleasure of meeting several times throughout our literary journeys. Our paths have crossed, ending up at the same place. I've always admired her. This young lady has more than 100 published titles to her credit. She's won just about she's been on every bestseller list that I can think of. Um, three of her books have been turned into movies. She is a professor. In other words, the sister does a lot. Um, she is all over the place. Which is why it took so long to get this interview because it's hard to get on her schedule. She recently won a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Romance Readers and Writers Organization. We're going to talk about all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me this morning the incomparable Miss Donna Hill. Donna, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian. Thank you so much for being so patient with me all this time.
It's all good. I get in where I can fit in. It is a pleasure to have you on. I know that you are very busy, so I'm going to hop right into it. You have been writing, from what I understand, since the early to mid 90s, correct?
Yes, my first novel was released in 1990.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The fact that you have been able to last this long. And I know that at this point you are a professor at Medgar Evers College, correct?
Yeah. Yes, associate professor. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just got tenure. Yay.
Ah, look, that is all of our goals. I do the adjunct thing, and that is what we all want to hear, right?
I know, I know. I did the adjunct thing for a while, and that was like, woo. When I first finally came on full time, I was like, thank you.
Thank
But
you. Right.
the
It
tenure
gives us a lot of
process,
pleasure.
yeah, the tenure process is so long.
It
So
is. It is. It
finally.
is. One of the reasons why I'm happy to finally get you because I understand you recently moved, huh?
Oh, yes. Like I've been a die-hard Brooklyn, New York girl all my entire life. So like I've traveled, of course, and been other places. I moved to New Jersey in the beginning of December of 2025. So I'm still getting used to I like my space, I'm getting used to the neighborhood, but it's like a serious culture shock because, I was not in the hood, but close enough that if I walk around the corner, there's the bodega. You
Right.
know,
Right.
it's my 24-hour spots and
Right. Right.
all of
Right.
that. And like now I look outside and it's like, wow,
Right.
everything closed.
It's the suburbs, right? Right. I've I've moved to the suburbs. Culture shock, huh?
I know. You need a car to go everywhere. I'm just like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh. So
Now, is
anyway.
your family in Brooklyn still?
No, I was the last holdout.
Oh, okay.
My whole family lives in New Jersey, and they've
Oh,
been
okay.
begging me to come to New Jersey for years, and I just finally just like, okay, I can't take it no more. I'm
I've
coming.
only been in New Jersey once. It was probably about 10 years ago. I appeared at an event with, remember R.M. Johnson?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
R.M. Johnson and Daniel Black, a bunch of us appeared at an event. We were in Rahway, New Jersey.
Okay, okay.
What part of New Jersey are you in?
I'm in South Orange, so don't ask me where that is in
Where it
relation
is in
to anything
right,
because
right.
I don't know.
When you want to go back and get your Brooklyn fix, how long will it take for you to get from where you're at to get back to the Brooklyn?
About an hour.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
About an
not too
hour.
bad. That's not too
Yeah,
bad.
not too bad.
I'm
Yeah.
here in Dallas, Texas, where everything is an hour. It's so big and spacious. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But um, so you're teaching now. How
hmm
long have you been doing the professor thing?
Let's see, I started in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been teaching since 2012. I was doing the adjunct thing like you were.
Mm-hmm.
Literally in a week's time, I was in two different states and two different boroughs in the same week.
Right.
Running back and forth.
Right.
And when I look back now, I was like, how in the hell did you do that?
Right.
Every week for like, a couple of years. And I came on as a substitute full-time professor at Medgar in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2018, I was put on the full-time track and, tenure track. So I just got my tenure in August of last year. So me and Bernice, we kind of started out around the same time,
Mm-hmm.
Bernice McFadden. And
Mm-hmm.
so she got her tenure and I got mine. So we're very happy. So,
Yeah, we talked about that. She was on season one of Readers Want to Know podcast, and Bernice is down in my hometown, New Orleans. So we laugh and joke about that. She
yeah.
teaches at Tulane. I actually attended Loyola, which is right next door.
hmm
Um, I am curious. Um, at this stage in your life, this stage of your career, what do you get more pleasure out of, writing novels or teaching people how to write novels?
Huh. Wow. That's a really good question. I think I get more, I wouldn't say more pleasure, but I think that I have a little bit more um control over the narrative when I'm doing my own thing and I'm writing for myself. I love teaching writing, and especially when I see that spark and all of
Hmm.
a sudden they get it or you see their imagination begin to take a shape when they submit their work. But it's a different kind of energy, and it's a different type because you have to sort of be in the professor headspace, and you have to edit their stuff and tell them how to do
Hmm.
things, so it's a different kind of energy. So in terms of enjoyment, I think I enjoy writing my own stuff, but I really like working with the students as well.
One of my biggest pleasures was I remember the first time a student of mine invited me to her first book signing.
Wow.
Have you had that experience yet?
I have had the experience where we have had one of our students just recently, because we do in the creative writing department, we do, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, as well as playwriting. And
Hmm.
one of, my superstar students wrote a play and it was performed off Broadway like just
Wow.
before the holidays. So, we were all excited. The president of the
Hmm.
college came
That's
and
great.
so it's really nice. It's really nice. And we see a lot of because I do double duty. So I'm a associate professor, but I'm also the executive director for the Center for Black Literature at Medgar Evers College. And we have a program called Wild Seeds, Writers Retreats for Writers of Color. And we have seen some of those, the fellows who attend actually get published afterwards, and they'll invite us to their poetry reading or their
Hmm.
signing. So that part of it is really cool too.
Now, you, as a novelist, you've written in several genres.
hmm
And I know from experience that when you're teaching these classes, you're speaking the techniques and mechanics of writing, but there are a plethora of genres preferences in those classrooms.
Yeah.
Um, which genre is your go-to? Which one do you prefer to write in? Because I know you've dabbled in a little bit of everything.
Probably, general fiction
Hmm.
and, women's fiction is geared towards that particular audience. Speaking of which, when you talk about genres, so when you get into as in a faculty position, one of the things they want you to do, they want you to write, new courses and blah blah blah. So
Hmm.
I did a proposal for a course, Gender, Sexuality, and the Black Romance Novel.
Wow.
And it was finally approved
Hmm.
and it's going to run for the very first time this fall. So I just found out
Your
that the other
baby,
day.
your baby.
Yes, I'm like so excited
You
about
should
that,
be.
And the process, it takes so long to get these things done,
Which is why I say you should be, because there's a lot of hurdles to jump.
Yes, it's this committee and that committee, and so says, and then
Mhm.
revisions. And then because we're part of the City University of New York, then it has to go up to, CUNY and the board, and then, it takes forever. So it finally got approved. So I found out the other day. So it's going to run in the fall.
So the industry, congratulations on that.
Thank
That
you.
is a heck of an accomplishment. The industry has changed.
Mhm.
What what has been the best change you've seen during your career, and what is something you wish we could go back to?
Well, one of the things that I saw, because of course it was like so long ago when I first started, Black romances was just this sort of what is that kind of thing. There was just like less than a handful of Black writers that had published romance novels. So to be able to see the genre embraced
Yeah.
across the board, see us in stores,
Hmm.
see us, on the shelves. That is the progress that I've seen. And it was a hard road. It really, really was. When we started out, it was very, very difficult to get
Hmm.
us on the shelves, visibly on the
Right.
shelves.
Hmm.
And so that I see, so many writers who came along afterwards and were able to publish without um, uh, the difficulties that we had getting started. The
Yeah.
distributions were there, the
Hmm.
big publishing houses were there. The only thing that um, I always found problematic was that we were always, even though we began to get published, we always were sort of marginalized, even
Hmm.
so. We have like a separate section in the
Section in, yeah.
store, and then the publishing house is like, oh, okay, well, we'll do Black books. And the romance Black books were the lead off to all of the stuff that we see now.
Hmm.
And so the publishing industry said, well, let's do a Black imprint. So we
Hmm.
put all the Black people over here,
Yeah.
and that's where we'll publish. So we still deal with that, to a large degree. Um, and I don't know if it's good, bad, or they finally found their way, but a lot of those imprints are,
Hmm.
are closing.
Yeah.
So they're closing.
You know, the we living in this microwave society. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to, and that's one of the observations I notice even with my students. When I say to you, what do you wish we can go back to? What's one of those school of hard knock things that you went through that yes, there's a workaround now, but in hindsight, maybe that was a good thing.
Yeah, I think that it was a good thing because it made us realize the true value of our work
Hmm.
and made the establishment realize the value of our work.
Hmm.
And so now, we have a lot of writers who are very successful but don't have their history.
Hmm.
It's sort of like, oh, well, I'm going to publish a book and, so and so is going to pick me up and I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that. But they don't realize how that was made possible.
Hmm. And in your
So,
classes, I would imagine that's one of the things you have to convey, right?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That there's a history behind everything.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't
you
just
didn't
get here
just
by magic.
right. You did right, exactly. So, um, I do not want to let the opportunity pass for you to talk to me and the viewers about Nola and Baldwin. This is a
Oh,
hard pivot, but I know me how my man. I'll get to asking you questions about stuff that are important, but this is readers want to know. They want to know about that next book. So talk to me
yes,
about
yes.
Nola and Baldwin.
Nola and Baldwin is the story of two young people in Mississippi. right after the Great Depression. Both of them have very divergent lives, but they meet for the very first time on the train because my main character, Baldwin, is a Pullman porter.
Hmm.
And so we see through their travels from to the Midwest, up north, back down south, the obstacles that they had to endure to be
Right.
together
Hmm.
in a time period where it was difficult for Black folks to just be places. And the power that the Pullman Porters had financially and how
Hmm.
they were able to build communities and build homes. And we see that as we move through this love story and what they had to endure in order to be together. So that's, the crust of it. It's actually available for pre-order. And there's a beautiful blurb about it because my character, Nola,
Hmm.
was inspired by Zora Neale Hurston's
Okay.
novel. And she said, well, if Janie Crawford could travel to find her true love, I can do that as well. So that always inspired her. So that's sort of like an underpinning to the story as well.
It sounds like a romance novel wrapped in a historical fiction blanket.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what it is. Like, Brian, I totally admire all of my sister writers who are writing historicals and they'll find that person and they want to write about it. And they dig in
Hmm.
and they do all that. And I'm just like, wow, that is just like so great. I'm
Hmm.
just gonna make up some stuff. So
Hmm.
my historicals more to do with issues and time periods. And
Hmm.
then I drop my people in,
But
my fictional characters.
but the Pullman porters were so important.
Oh,
This is the
absolutely.
opportunity to actually drop some nuggets about them because history, as history has been known to do in this country, has a way of
Erasing us.
sidestepping them and forgetting. But
Oh,
I know from my reading, you had that job, you had a job.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you were so respected
Yeah,
outside of the job, right? Your
right.
community respected you because of what you did. And it was the Pullman Porters who brought news back to these
Mm,
small towns.
facts.
They stick the newspapers in and the little magazines that they would collect and all of that. So, like in the story, and through Baldwin's travels, like he meets Thurgood Marshall because Thurgood Marshall was a Pullman Porter.
Hmm.
Malcolm X was a Pullman porter at one time.
Hmm.
And Thurgood Marshall, in my version, tells him, land is the key to
Mm.
generational wealth,
Well, right.
and you need to think about that. And so it's their story, it's their struggle. You see, blatant racism. You see what happens to them when they go to New Orleans. You see the brotherhood of sleeping car porters, how that was built, the meetings that they go to. So all of that is that backdrop, and then you have the support of this wonderful woman who is holding it down while her husband is trying to build this next generation of wealth.
And talk to me about when will this be available? When does it come out?
It comes out in November. There's a little bit of discrepancy. Some things say September, some say November. So at the latest it'll be November, but it's available for pre-order right now.
You guys hear that? Go out and pre-order that. Um, what is the exact title?
Nola and Baldwin.
Nola and Baldwin. Go out and pre-order that.
Thank
Um, I am going to pull up my nosy wheel.
Okay.
You should be seeing it on your screen here any second now.
Okay.
Let me know when you see it. I am going to spin this wheel 3 times,
Okay.
and there are going to be 3 questions. Don't blame me, blame the wheel. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see it.
All right. So I'm going to click this button, And I'm curious to see where it lands and hear your answer. So, I mean, you're so refined, but hopefully it'll ask you something real ghetto so we can get it out you. Okay. Okay. Readers want to know, who is your favorite author of all time?
Wow, my favorite author of all time. I would have to actually say, and not because she's my friend, but Bernice McFadden. She's
Hmm.
actually my favorite author of all time for a variety of reasons. And
Hmm.
we have our Toni Morrison and Alice Walker
Hmm.
and all of those. But she's my favorite because I've seen how she's grown
Hmm.
into her work, and the pleasure that she takes, and the diligence that she takes in writing it. So she's definitely one of my
Yeah, she's
favorites.
one of my favorite too. Bernice is just good people. Spin this thing again.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see what we have. Readers want to know, if you were stranded on an island, which book by any author could you read over and over?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Who could I read over and over? I would, I'd have to go back. I would read, and she doesn't think it's her favorite. It's The Warmest December.
By
Uh
Bernice McFadden.
yes.
I read that.
Yes, I would read that again,
Hmm.
because there's something that she does in that novel that I couldn't figure out how you're doing this. But she's using physical space, a physical object, and a physical body simultaneously through this novel until they both meet at the father's deathbed.
Yeah.
And as I'm reading it, I'm like, something's happening here. What is it that's happening? And it's like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that takes real skill. And, so yeah.
Beautifully written book. I love the ending.
Yes.
Yeah. Hmm. Um, Readers want you to describe the moment when you first felt like you made it.
I'm still waiting to feel like it.
Yeah. You
I
had to have that moment. Maybe it was that look for a lot of authors, and you can speak to this.
Mhm.
An argument can be made, a cogent argument can be made that if you get a second offer, you've made it. A lot of people, um, that right of first refusal, they refuse,
Yeah.
and they never get a chance to sign a second contract. So tell us, there has to be one moment when you were like, you know what? I think I made it.
Okay. Well, I mean, anything that would kind of well, let's see. Um,
Don't be modest. Come on now. When you bought that Bentley, come on now.
when Confessions in B flat, the novel that came out in 2020, yeah.
Hmm.
When it was optioned for film and Octavia Spencer is going to executive produce it.
That's
So
what's
I
up. That's
guess
beautiful.
that would be it.
She's
Because when I
big
got the
time.
call about that, I kind of like passed out. And then when I woke back up, I was like, wow, this is real.
So how did you celebrate?
It's so funny when I knew it was happening, and it was one of those things that you weren't supposed to tell anybody that this is going on because like Steven Spielberg's production company was supposed to produce it.
Hmm.
And so that was the first thing. So we had to keep that quiet. And then I found out I was actually at AWP when my editor called and said, this is happening. You can tell everybody now, blah blah blah. And so it had been at that point, it had been a year and a half of holding a secret. And I just actually sat down on my hotel bed and cried. It was
Yeah.
just a relief. And so, here we are in 2026, still waiting for the wheels to keep continuing turn to turn. Because right after that, then it was the strike.
Right.
And everything was shut down. Then they started fighting about digital and blah 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 blah. So a lot of things started happening, and they had to re-grease the wheel. So, but I that was a moment.
And
That
that should have been a moment. it's but and I know that you've had at least three other books that were turned into adapted to screen.
for the time.
Um, was it because of the distance between the last time it happened and this one, or is it something special about this book that evokes so much emotion?
I think it was different. And I won't get into the weeds about
Hmm.
what the issues were back then with those three books. That was, at that point, that was a highlight in my career,
Right.
right? So out of all of the, authors from Arabesque whose books were selected, they took three of mine. So that was like, wow.
Wow.
And but then you see the product, and then it's
Right.
like, oh, okay, well, that's something um,
Right.
um, but it still looked good on my resume. That's what I
It
tell
does. It
people.
does. But
So
you can't control that, you know.
yeah, it's just like, okay, all right,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But this, I think, at this, stage of my career, 30 something odd years later, to still have your work recognized at that level,
Yeah.
and then the people that recognized it, it was like, who? What?
Right. Right. So, I've always found this interesting. I'm sure you were you surprised to hear that she was reading your work.
Yes. And it was everything that happened with it was so random because the one of the people who was shepherding the work through, her friend, is it her friend or her sister? Was the casting director for Steven Spielberg.
Wow.
And she said, I read this great book. I want you to read it, blah, 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 blah. So gives it to her, and she loved it, and she passed it on to Steven Spielberg. And so then, the ball started rolling. He was like, I really like it. This is what we're going to do. And then, it was months of back and forth and contracts and this, that, and the third. And then Octavia Spencer, they tapped her to executive produce it.
Hmm.
So, and then there was the big announcement in Variety that came out on the web and, blah, 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 and all these things. So it was overwhelming.
Right.
Um, all of this pomp and circumstance, so so now I'm sort of like resigned to the fact, well, whenever they make it, it's fine,
Right. But
and that's
I
it.
think it proves, though. I told my son this recently. I have a 27-year-old. I have two sons, but my baby is 27. And I told him recently, I said, son, more often than not, your career decisions,
Hmm.
and your career path, the biggest impact to your career will be conversations about you that happen in rooms that you're not even in.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
And it sounds like you're a testament to that.
yeah,
All of these people are making these decisions and having these discussions about you in rooms that you aren't even in, which is why it's so important to carry yourself and conduct yourself in a certain way because you never know who's watching and you
yeah,
never know how you're going to come across to them.
yeah, for sure.
Humility will open doors your talent can't. And that's one of the things I've always loved about you. You know,
Thank
you're
you.
very talented, but you have a way about you that I think people gravitate to. So I'm happy that this has happened for you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. That's something that'll eventually come to fruition. So,
Yeah. But before I let you go, I've been looking at this pendant that you're wearing, and I don't know if I should ask about it, but I just got it. I'm curious, who are the figures in it?
it's my mom, rest her soul, my sister,
Hmm.
my brother, and myself. I
Okay.
got it as a Christmas gift from my daughter like a couple of years ago, and I never take it off.
Right. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. The entire interview, my eyes have been gravitating to it. That's a beautiful thing. Are they all here with us?
Yes, except for my mom. She
Except for your
passed
mother.
away in
Okay.
2018. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Donna, I'm going to let you go. But
Okay.
first, I just want to give you your flowers, sister, and tell you that I'm a big fan. And I just wish you nothing but continued success. And I really hope they go ahead and make this movie.
Me too.
Yeah, make this movie so I can be in there talking about, yeah, I know her. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we
like
was
I'm big
chilling the other
time.
day.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All
No
right.
doubt, no doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the phenomenal Donna Hill. Make sure you go out and get her upcoming release, Lola and Baldwin. That is the title, right?
Nola and Baldwin.
And Baldwin. Make sure you get out or pre-order that. You can do that right now. Make sure you go do that. Um, it has been a pleasure having her on. And to all of you who are watching, make sure you like and subscribe. Click the button. Share it with your friends, your avid reader friends, and even those who are just casual readers. We want to get the momentum going on her latest novel. Uh, I want you all to continue to be safe. And until our paths cross again, keep reading. Well, there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Tune in next time when I give you a behind the scenes sort of glimpse into the personality of another one of your favorite authors. Until we meet again, I want you to be safe and keep reading.